Hello and welcome to VR Reviews. It's 2019 and that means today we're going to be doing our top 10 list of figures from 2018. As usual, I have my set of prerequisites as to what is allowed on the list. Of course, it has to have come out in 2018. It has to be a fairly original release, as in no repaints or re-releases. And I only allow one figure from each line or subset of lines. So only one Marvel Legend, only one SH Figuart from each section of SH Figuarts, only one Figma from each set of Figmas, and other things of that nature. It allows me to have a more varied list instead of having a list of, hey, here's all the Dragon Ball Z things that came out this year, or something to that effect. So let's go ahead and start taking a look at all of our top figures for the year. Alright, starting off with number 10, we have our Marvel Legend for the list, and it is Mysterio. Mysterio is probably the Spider-Man villain I've been waiting for the longest for them to finally make, and this year they finally got around to doing so, and they did a pretty damn good job. He's not quite perfect, but he is really, really well done, completely new sculpt for him, and he's just a generally well-executed figure. He even happens to be part of a wave that's actually worth getting almost all of, which is a rarity nowadays. I don't know if he's objectively the best Marvel Legend figure that came out this year, as that's probably Thing, but he's definitely my favorite Marvel Legend that came out this year. Number 9 is SH Figuarts Harry Potter, the first entry in this Harry Potter line of SH Figuarts, which is going to be at least 5 figures deep, it looks like. Hopefully more in the future. At the moment, I only have Harry and Ron, although Hermione is available if you had imported her at this point. And Harry is slightly better than Ron because he has one more face, and that's really the only reason I can come up with, so he gets the spot instead of Ron. Overall, these figures are not amazing, but I am a really big fan of Harry Potter, and I've always wanted Harry Potter figures, so this gets the spot more for desirability to me personally than for it being an excellent figure. Not that they're bad figures, but there's a few things here and there that could be fixed that would make them better. Number 8 is Astrobots Argus. So this is a bit of a weird one for me, as I don't normally like robot figures, but I was convinced by the posability and the general look of the figure to pick it up, and it is an excellent figure. If I was more into robots or had some sort of attachment to the character, which is an original character made by the company, then he would probably be much higher on the list. Purely as a figure, he is absolutely excellent. So if you are a fan of robots, he's probably something that would be top tier on your personal list of objects that are good. Number 7 is Storm Collectibles Mike Tyson. Here we have another figure of something that I wouldn't normally be terribly interested in. I'm not a big boxing fan, but Mike Tyson is Mike Tyson. Everybody knows who Mike Tyson is. He's a bit of a pop culture icon for various reasons, some of which include him being insane, and some of which include him punching people really hard. And in recent times, Storm Collectibles has become one of my favorite companies. I like just about everything I've seen from them, so if they make a character that I would like to own, I will probably buy it from them. Even if it's something that I'm not necessarily all that interested in, like Mike Tyson. He is executed extremely well, looks just like Mike Tyson, and if you are a fan of boxing, he is something you should absolutely add to your collection. Number 6 is the Figma Hunter. I'm a big fan of the Souls series, Bloodborne to a lesser extent because it's on a console that I don't own, but I have played some of it and I do like it, so I was very excited to see Figma tackling some Souls stuff, still waiting for their Black Knight that they'll probably never release because they hate me. But as far as the Hunter goes, this is an excellent figure. It's probably the most detailed Figma figure that I own, and based purely on aesthetics, it's really hard to beat the sculpt and detail work on this figure. He's just really nicely executed, plus anything that's from a Souls thing, it gets my automatic seal of approval. Number 5 is the Revoltech Nick Wilde. You may remember that Judy placed pretty highly on my list last year, and Nick is following in her footsteps. He's just a really excellent figure. Revoltech knocked it out of the park with the Zootopia stuff. They got the detail and likeness for these characters spot on, and they're such expressive and fun figures to have around. Nick does have the slight drawback of not having any knee articulation, but apart from that, he's just excellent and fun to pose around with Judy or just by himself if for some reason you don't want to have the set. But I would highly recommend picking up both of them. Number 4 is the second X Manase Shizui. This figure just barely made it onto the list as she didn't release until the 27th of December. She's also a big reason as to why I waited to make this list, as I was almost positive she would place on it. And she better place on it because she's fucking expensive. Luckily, she is a really solid figure, and a very unique one as there's not a lot of porn action figures around. There's a lot of statues, but if you want an action figure, it's basically like this and the old Revoltech Queenblade stuff, and that's about it. Maybe some other stuff that I've forgotten about. This is the first step into Second Axe's hentai action line, and I think it's a pretty solid first figure. It is, like I said, really expensive, and I'm not entirely convinced that it's worth the price, but it is a really solid figure, and hopefully we'll get some cool stuff from them in the future after their next figure, because I don't like their next figure at all. It looks like a weird Sailor Moon thing, and I'm not fond of it. But maybe their third figure will be cool. Number 3 is the Polynesian Jana, or Iana, depending upon how you want to pronounce it. I'm used to saying Jana, so I'm gonna say Jana. And 2018 was kind of the year of the Polynesian for me. I went from having none of the figures to having, I would say, the majority of them at this point. I've certainly got quite a lot of them. And it all started with this one. She is my favorite of the Polynesians. She is a big, thick robot lady, and I am very fond of all of those things. And she is just an excellent figure at the top of the pyramid of excellent figures that are Polynesians. And everyone should go out and buy them because they're sexy robots, and everybody needs all the sexy robots. Number 2 is SH Figuarts Majin Buu. Yes, we finally have our Dragon Ball Z figure art for the list, and it's not number 1. Is that a first? It might be. I don't remember. But either way, Buu is great. Buu is a character that I've always wanted to have an SH figure art of. This is my favorite form of Buu in terms of personality and stuff. Visually, my favorite form is Super Buu, and we're getting that this year. But as a character, this form of Buu is certainly the more entertaining version. But this turned out to just be a really nicely executed figure, and it would have been a figure so easy for them to mess up. They could have made him too small, which they didn't. His odd body shape could have made him have bad articulation, which he is mostly okay with. Pretty much the only thing I think they messed up with is I think he could have used more faces because Buu is a very expressive character. But apart from that, he is just really, really solid, and if you do not have him, your SH Figuarts collection is bad, and you should feel bad. And number 1 is Storm Collectibles Goro. Goro is a character that I've wanted a figure for basically for as long as I've been collecting figures, but there's never really been a good one. There's like some old shitty ones and there's some statues and stuff, but there had never been a solid, proper figure of Goro until recently. And Storm Collectibles just did an amazing job at making just a massive four-armed beast of a figure, and he's just great. If you have any liking for Mortal Kombat whatsoever, you should have this figure, because he's just awesome. He's awesome. He's got 4 arms. Have you ever seen anything that had 4 fucking arms that wasn't Goro or something other than Goro? No, you haven't. That's because Goro's fucking great and you should buy it. Buy 2 of them and then it'll have 8 arms. Go do it now. I'll wait. Congratulations, you have just made yourself an excellent decision. Now enjoy Goro and all of the arms that he has brought upon you. Alright, that wraps it up for our top 10 list. I hope you enjoyed it, and I look forward to reviewing things that will eventually be top 10 figures of 2019 as the year goes on. So until next time, goodbye!